I'm heartbroken to report that on March 28th, my beloved sister Marisa passed away. Presumably, she had an heart attack. She would have turned 70th next October. It's a huge loss. We are devastated. She was a very talented woman, a lovable mother, a literature, philosophy, and histories teacher, and a successful writer. She has written many books, poetry, and has been awarded many times in our country. It's a terrible and painful thing to say that we were not allowed to pay tribute the last farewell. We will terribly miss a love, goodness, laughs, and eloquence. On March 22nd, she wrote a painful reflections on the COVID-19 consequences. I'd like to honor a memory, making a rough translation in English, and I think she would have appreciated it. This is the test. Painful reflection, March 22nd, 2020, by Marisa. Days of silence, thoughts, and lot of sorrow. I was thinking about that, the ordinary one and the extraordinary, as though there were two possibilities to choose. I was thinking that so far has disappeared a fundamental part of our society who belonged to us, all elderly people that are leaving the scene in loneliness and distress. They consider them as cases with pre-existing condition, even one, two, three diseases, nearly to lessen and justify their death, nearly to consider inevitable their loss. What a terrible thing. They are people with their fondness, stories, families, and identity. They supported our society and they represented an important cornerstone for everyone who is grieving there without the possibility to give the last hug and painful farewell. I'm part, as many, of this segment of a people with an age who is considered almost as an additional possibility. The elderly people are, in many cases, those who help their families tangibly and spiritually. They are those to whom you ask in case of need, who have to offer the wonderful heritage of memories, that sensitive and melancholy gaze that everybody needs, young people and not, to consider life a difficult and magnificent ordeal as they have experienced with sacrifices, anxiety, wars, and small satisfactions. They are parents, grandfathers, uncles, friends who are killed because a terrible beast takes them away without compassion, and not because life will certainly end sooner or later. Which relative or friend of those people will think on what is happening with resignation? Their journey will not be bearable or justifiable compared with some other end of life, because health becomes uncertain as people get older, but many may will we continue to live. There is no question about body weakness who suffers other diseases, but I just want to underline that you can't create statistics related to age and diseases. The loss of doctors, healthcare assistants, soldiers, social professionals, elderly people, and so many others is a loss of all important and necessary human lives. Exception in this moment is the damn virus who kills human lives like flies without distinctions and without percentages. I am heartbroken, sorrowful, powerless, and my words are useless, even if I try to gather my disorderly thoughts. I don't dispute with official spokesperson. All of us need to understand how the virus is spreading. We get numbers, studies, but perhaps now we need to think about people who has passed away without a grave to be buried, with their identity to remember as in war. Many of them will have not a flower, a place of compassionate where their loved one can meet each other. I hope to be able to see the end of this terrible tragedy. And above all, I hope that young people will understand that this lockdown will teach us to be compassionate with other people, get rid of hate, meaningless gossip, build a more true, authentic world as the many that have lost their lives have experienced it.